Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Around the Indoor Football World, where we talk about all the major indoor football leagues, including the IFL, the NAL, the AAL, the TAL, the AF1. We even mix in some AIF talk, which we will be doing today as well because they just had a game. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and play an intro video and get right into it. I'm going to have to keep growing my hair out and eventually have long hair again so I can, be headbanging when we come out of that one day. But how are you guys doing this morning? Let's go to Cody first. How's your morning so far?
I'm doing all right. The kid woke up bright and early, so I am right there with her, but just not the bright and early part. So
there you go. TJ, how are you doing this morning, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Just woke up a little while ago myself.
There you go. Awesome. We got Scott Levin already checking in. Good morning.
Hi,
and we also have Project Superfan. Good morning, everyone. Finally didn't sleep in so I could catch this episode. Excited for IFL season to kick off. It's coming up quick. Definitely coming up quick. We've got quite a bit to talk about today. It's not quite as packed as some of the episodes recently, but there's still a lot to talk about. We're going to kick it off with some TAL discussion. And the first big piece of news, I guess, this week was Brian Gallagher has been named the announcer for the Nebraska Siege. So I kind of wanted to get you guys' opinions on that. I know, I'm sure there isn't a ton to unpack here, but, it's still something to talk about. So, Cody, what are your thoughts on Brian Gallagher?
I think it's a great fit. I mean, why not? Simple as that. I mean, who else would you have? So, I don't know. I mean, you got to have someone call the games, and I mean, he's right there. So it makes way more sense than trying to find someone else.
Agreed. TJ, any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, just to like Cody said, a great decision. Who else are you going to pick? Has 40 plus years of hosting, broadcasting kind of experience. So, I mean, he's right there. So great fit.
Agreed. Now to kind of pivot a little bit, the Eau Claire Axemen, I hope I pronounced that correctly. I always get it wrong. Has announced their coaching staff for the 2026 season, and as many of us already knew, Jim Britton is the head football coach. Then we also have Harrison Tismoris. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. I apologize, Coach, if I got that wrong. And then MJ Johnson is the defensive coordinator, and he's also the defensive backs coach. What are you guys' thoughts on this staff? Obviously, TAL kind of keeps it a little bit more compact with their staffs, so not a ton to unpack here either. But, in my opinion, some interesting names on this list. Let's go to TJ first on this one.
Yeah, I like it. They're staying all local. All the guys coach at, local high schools and things like that. They all bring a lot of championship pedigree to the team. So they're just stacking on not only local talent, but proven winning talent.
Agreed. Cody, what are your thoughts on these coaches?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I mean, there's really nothing negative to say. You're not going to trash them or anything. They're building their coaching staff, and if this is what it's going to take for them to compete to win a championship or compete for championships, then they're on the right path. You're not going to sit there and be like, this coaching staff sucks. I think what they're doing is they're, like TJ said, they're building local, trying to build that fan base, trying to get everything that they can to, get butts and seats and have a good product. So I think it starts right here.
Agreed. And I do like the local flavor. That's part of what I like about the TAL. They tend to try and keep it local, and some of the people are in the market year round. So it's good for the fan bases over year, in my opinion. Now, obviously it needs to come with some winning there in Eau Claire for, them to kind of keep invested, but hopefully they can get it turned around after last season. Last season was a little bit rough for them, but some talented players have been there, so hopefully they can get it together there. But the final piece of TAL information, the Ozark Lunkers are adding to their front office. They hired Christina Boyer. She is going to be working on sales and partnerships as well as in-game entertainment. She has a very long history in real estate, and also was, kind of applauded by Tommy Benizio recently for her efforts on building some of the partnerships there already. So congratulations to her. And obviously a great move anytime you can see these teams start to build out those front offices and getting more people involved in the sales aspects. It's generally a good sign for those teams long term. But any thoughts on that for either of you guys?
I mean, it was a great hire. I mean, what is a real estate agent? They're a self-promoter, self-marketer, making sales themselves. So it's a perfect fit. Bring her in. Again, they're building another franchise in the TAL, building it up great and trying to be successful with proven people with a lot of experience in the industry. So I like it.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a salesman trying to sell, but it's kind of broadening the horizons. It's going from real estate to trying to sell a different product. So I think what Ozark has been very consistent over the last couple of years. They were one of the original 4 TAL teams. So being able to be as consistent and productive as they have, bringing her in is going to be, I think, pretty beneficial for what they have down there in Springfield.
Completely agree. And, I'm excited to see them kind of build up their sponsorship base and hopefully be around for many, many years to come. I like their brand. It's fun. It's, cartoonish a little bit, which is part of what I like about the TAL is that it's very, very fun branding and, some of the stuff that they do, in terms of like their press conferences and stuff is very entertaining. So
yeah, it looks more family friendly than some other logos and stuff like that. Not to nitpick, but yeah.
100%. That's a good point as well. So we're actually going to pivot to the AF1 next. We're going to save the AAL for 9 a.m., assuming our guest is still able to show up. And we're also going to do NAL talk at 8:30 a.m. for anybody watching. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll come back. We'll talk about some AF1 news. There's actually quite a bit of interesting stuff going on, especially in quarterback rooms in New York recently. So we'll go ahead and get to talk about that, and then we'll talk about a couple other things in the AF1 as well. But no better way to kick off this episode commercial-wise than this.
Omaha Beef football, prime dancers, rump roasters, slaughterhouse. Are you ready? DJ next one. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the slaughterhouse where we run it. Yeah, we really want it. Beef nation, got 'em shaking, got a ring and we flown it. Prime dancers be on it. I bet the competition's no opposition. We come to take and we done it. Ricky is the chief saying, let's go beef. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the slaughterhouse. Orange and black. About to win this. Defense stays on attack. You on our hit list. Like a blocking and dumping, jumping out the gymnasium. You want to see the best? Meet us at the Beef Stadium. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Let's go, Beef. Orange Kingdom. Slaughterhouse. Orange Kingdom. Prime dancers. Orange Kingdom. Let's roll, baby.
Was that not as bad, Cody?
No, I mean that's the reason I was asking. I was sitting there going like, man, that actually doesn't sound overbearing when it comes to the audio. So I know they had that issue a couple weeks ago where the commercials were just absolutely loud according to some people. So I just wanted to double check to make sure we fixed it. It looks like we did.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually didn't do anything, and I actually prepared the Anchorman clip that that you recommended. So I mean, honestly, I mean, you guys in the chat can tell us, was that a 1 week thing, or was that something that had been an issue for a while? Because I had not really heard anybody say anything about that before Adam last week. So, I mean, was it, or sorry, 2 weeks ago. So was it, you know, has it been a reoccurring issue that you guys have dealt with, you know, and just been really quiet about, or, you know, let us know in the comments, because I'm curious for sure. We don't want to be blowing out people's eardrums every time we go to a commercial break, you know, and then you can't hear us talk when we're actually back here, you know, to discuss the actual news that's going on right now. But yeah, so let us know in the chat on that. But pivoting over to the AF1, there's been some interesting movement, as I mentioned before, specifically at the quarterback position in Albany. Most recently, we knew that Josh Kolka, the little brother for Tyler Kolka, the current quarterback for Nashville, had signed an AF1 contract. However, it had not been announced where that team was or who he was going to end up playing for. And now we know he has signed with the Albany Firebirds for the 2026 season. And consequently, Fred Payton has also been released. Payton was previously a starter in Corpus Christi. I think he had some starts in Jacksonville in 2024 as well.
If I'm not mistaken. In the IFL.
Yep. So, so a pretty high quality quarterback comes available, you know, late in the process. And then on top of that, Josh Kolka could potentially play against his brother in an AF1 game this season. So what are you guys' thoughts on that one? Cody, we'll go to you first.
Listen here, brother. What are you going to do when Kolkamania runs wild on you 2 times in a season? I have no idea. Like, I haven't seen this kid play, so I don't truly know. But if there's an opportunity to have the brothers play against each other, that's going to be great. But we also know that Albany has Sam Castronova. So I don't know if he's going to start and if he's okay with the backup role or whatever. I mean, it seems like some of these teams in the AF1 are like loading up on quarterbacks just to make sure they've got the right ones when the season starts. So I'm not going to say his position's even locked in at this point. We'll see. But ultimately, it's good. It's networking because you got the brothers in the league at the same time, so it's cool. But yeah, we'll see if Hulkamania runs wild twice.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, like you said, obviously he's not going in there to be the starter. You have Sam Castron over there, obviously. So he's not going anywhere unless it's back to the UFL or the CFL, I imagine. But at the same time, you also have Rob McCoy there, who was a pretty established backup last year. So you got to wonder, like, what's really going on there if you're bringing in a third quarterback and then, you know, getting rid of Fred Payton. So TJ, what are your thoughts on that situation, and where do you think Kolka kind of slots into this equation for Albany?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same thinking process as Cody. As long as they have Sam Castronova there, he's going to be the starter, in my opinion. But yeah, maybe they picked him because they think Kolkamania runs in the family. But for now, I don't see him being anything more than a backup or maybe an option quarterback for them with Sam Castronova there.
What if he beats out Castronova?
Then you're really going to have Kolkamania.
then you've got 2 thoughts. You got 2 thoughts of, like, is one man washed and the other really good? I'm just kidding. I don't think it's going to happen. But that's just crazy to think if that would be just like, you know what? We're going to go with this guy over, you know, former offensive player of the year, guy that went to the UFL. Yeah, no, we're good here. We're good here, Sam.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to surmise that cost-wise, it would probably be pretty effective for the salary, cap. But at the same time, I can't imagine that they're willing to take that drop off, or, you know, if there is a drop off, you know, if he comes in and lights it up, maybe. But like you said, I don't see a scenario where Sam Castronova goes on the bench unless it's in, you know, blowout games, much like last season where we saw McCoy enter several games and played quite a bit. I think he threw like 10 or 12 touchdowns last year, if I remember correctly.
Is there a salary cap in the AF1?
No. So there's not a salary cap, but I guess I should say it would be friendly to their wallets. And so, yeah, I mean, there's not really any reason why they can't pay.
Oh, we're just hypothesizing at this point. We know Sam's going to start.
Yeah, exactly. Roger Beck checking in. Speaking of Roger Beck, very excited to announce that both TJ and I have completely booked our trip to the AAL draft in April. So we will be attending the AAL draft at the Beck Center in Columbus, Georgia in April. Cannot wait for that. Going to be so much fun to actually meet TJ in person, see Cool again, and then also be able to cover this draft, which is going to be a lot of fun. And thank you, Roger, for your role in that as well. Super excited for the AAL draft this year. Ben McToy checking in. Kai West, I imagine one of the guys that he reps or helped get landed. Let's put it that way. Sup, guys? Appreciate you checking in, Ben. Daewon Vaughn, exciting news for sure. Mike Davis says, 0 chance that happens. They wouldn't give him an opportunity unless Sam gets hurt. Most of these guys returning are doing so to play with Sam, maybe looking for a QB of the future as Sam is getting older and has a family. Yeah, we were really kind of just messing around there. I mean, we all know Sam Castronova is as cemented as you can get in the AF1 right now. I'm pretty sure if there was even a hint of him not starting, every other team in the league would jump all over that and try to trade anything and everything to get him on their squad. So
it's not just any team in the league, it's any team in any league.
100%. Obviously he had a great season with San Antonio a couple years in the IFL, so he's proven he can play whatever style of football in my opinion.
He got Tulsa to the playoffs last year.
True. I honestly forgot he was even with Tulsa last year. Won a championship and then turned around and jumped on board with Tulsa. CJ, could it be a situation where they're looking at McCoy or Kolka to be the guy and waiting when Sam decides to retire? I'm willing to bet that's exactly what it is. In fact, I'm very confident that's exactly what it is. I happen to know McCoy has a desire to start, and I'm not sure that he necessarily wants to wait another full season for that. So that could be exactly why you bring in Kolka, a guy who might be more willing to sit on the bench for a year, coming straight out of college. So we'll see how things go. Daewon Vaughn, a draft sounds cool. Yeah, absolutely, man. Tune in right here on Shady Sports Network, April 19th. It'll be live covered right here on the network. Thanks to the AAL and the AAL2 for allowing us to be a part of that. Super, super excited about that, like I mentioned before. But a couple other signings on this list that I wanted to... Sorry about that. What?
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. Absolutely, man. It's going to be super exciting, and it's going to be an honor to be there.
Very nice. And Ben says, see you guys at the draft. Are you going to be there, Ben? I hope so. I would love to meet you in person. And it looks like our first guest is checking in, so we'll kind of breeze over a couple AF1 topics here real quick. But a couple other moves that I wanted to point out here. Justin Red signing with Albany. That's a big signing for them. Offensive lineman out of East Carolina. Previously spent time with the UFL and the CFL. Big time signing for them. Not surprised. They also released an offensive lineman. Noah, I'm probably going to mispronounce his last name, but I think it's Batiglieri.
Yep.
He was previously signed with the Fishers Freight. So that is a big signing for Kentucky here. He jumps ship from Fishers, jumps over to Kentucky. They get another solid offensive lineman on the boat for them.
Yeah,
and then Oregon makes a series
really quick. If you can talk about Oregon in a second, but for Batiglieri, I don't think he played a game last season for Fishers. I think he was on the injured reserve for most of the season, so still kind of raw, and we'll see what happens with that, because I've wanted to see that kid play at Fishers for a while, but Fishers has a really good offensive line right now, so it's only fitting that he goes and finds a different place, I guess.
100%. You are correct. He was actually activated off IR like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and then ended up in the AF1 like the next week. So interesting move for sure. And I'm curious to see how Kentucky's line shakes out, because they've got a lot of talented offensive linemen there as well. Any thoughts on any of these signings in particular, TJ?
No, I mean, I do like seeing them loading up on the offensive line, a lot of the teams, especially with the heavier guys, because, for a lot of teams, that's an issue, not having heavy enough linemen, but you're seeing a lot of guys who are really stacked, obviously, in the weight room. So that's going to be really good for the quarterbacks, obviously, protection-wise.
Agreed. want to address this comment real quick. Really live coverage that has to be cool for the players who might be drafted. I imagine it is. I mean, I'm very excited about it, and I'm just the one that gets to cover it. So I imagine the players are going to love it. Hopefully there's many players there that we can get on camera and live during the draft process. But any other AF1 subjects either one of you guys wanted to touch on before we invite on our NAL guest for the day? Awesome. Okay, we're going to hit another quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back with DJ K-Dub, the host of the Omaha Beef Show and also the team DJ. Very excited to speak with him. He's going to discuss some NAL topics with us, talk to us about how he got involved with the beef and kind of discuss his role as the host of the show and a couple other things. So I'm looking forward to that. But without further ado, we're going to hit that commercial break. We'll be right back again with DJ K-Dub of Omaha.
I don't know what we're yelling about! Loud noises!
Omaha Beef football! Prime dancers! Rump roasters! Slaughterhouse! Are you ready? DJ next one. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Slaughterhouse where we run it. Yeah, we really want it. Beef Nation got 'em shaking. Got a ring and we flown it. Prime dancers be on it. I bet the competition's no opposition. We come to take and we done it. Ricky is the G saying, let's go beef. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Slaughterhouse. Orange and Black about to win this. Defense stays on attack. You on a hit list. Blocking, blocking, and dumping, jumping out the gymnasium. You want to see the best? Meet us at the Beef Stadium. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Let's go beef. Orange Kingdom. Slaughterhouse. Orange Kingdom. Prime dancers. Orange Kingdom. Let's roll, baby.
All right, we are back with DJ K-Dub of Omaha. DJ K-Dub, how are you doing this morning, man? Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm doing good, fellas. How's the volume? Sorry, didn't get in a little sooner to make sure that was right.
Sounds perfect on my end. You guys can hear him okay?
Dude,
Perfect.
I just want to tell you, you have a better version than I think we have of that song. I just want to tell you that because, and maybe it's because we play it so loud, so you really can't hear all the words. I mean, you can hear some, but that King ISO, it just goes hard.
Absolutely. It's a great song. And honestly, one of the few teams out there that's commissioned their own song. So it's always kind of been a cool little facet there, the Beef had, that a lot of other teams just haven't done, unfortunately. So would love to see more of that over the future. So hopefully some other teams can get involved in something like that as well. But I'm very excited to have you here on the show today. And I mean, I wanted to kind of just give you the floor real quick. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've gone over your story and how you got involved with the Beef on your show at some point. But I wanted to give you the time to kind of discuss that with our fans here and tell them, what makes you such a big fan of the Beef.
So I've grown up pretty much in Omaha. I'm an Air Force brat, but for most of my life, I was here in Omaha. This is where my parents are from. I graduated high school locally, and then I tried to go play some semi-pro, and your football journey takes you weird places, but you just keep making connections, and it's all about your connections to your time. My kids are all grown up, and back when right before COVID happened, I decided to enter this contest for a local channel, and I entered this contest, and it was send in 2 minutes about the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and so I did that, and sent it to him, and all of a sudden, I got chosen to go on the show. I got chosen to do this competition. They put 6 of us against each other. So we went against each other, and at the end of it, I ended up winning the competition. We had like a real radio show. And after the radio show, I asked the producer of the channel, I said, hey, could I do a show? And he's like, yeah. Turned it into an actual radio show called Top Fan Show. Had a co-host. We went through a year and a half when COVID happened. And of course, COVID, you had to make up sports and you had to make things happen because the sports just wasn't what it was. So we made, what we could do the best of between also bringing up like sports shows, talking about that, and we actually grew the ratings. And then all of a sudden, things just changed because we were just a syndicated radio show. So what that means for those that don't know, that just means you pay for your time with sponsors. You don't get paid until you get sponsors. And we had enough where you kind of go back and forth. And we went separate ways for a year. And all of a sudden I got picked up by Herd at Sports. Herd at Sports is now a big local Omaha area social media. And they're really strong on all the facets, whether it's live, whether it's just especially on X. People say that X is dead. I know it's not big in at least in the NAL that I've seen. So hopefully I'm trying to change that by making sure the Omaha Beef are very active on it. But X is where I've made myself, not just for the Omaha Beef, but I have 2 podcasts myself where I have Wired Access. And my thing with Wired Access and all that is always trying to connect to Nebraska athletes if they've played some way, fashion, form in the state of Nebraska, whether it's college, high school. But I really push for preps, trying to promote those future athletes. Well, when I got on with Herdat, they had a connection with the Beef, and they connected me with Ricky. And so the first year, they really didn't give me no guidance. They didn't say, hey, here's what do you want to do? Their DJ next one, which is mad props to him. He's the one that got that song done. And he's still with us. He's still part of the team. We just kind of fill in where we need to as far as the DJ. I've been DJing for 12 years. Sports DJing since 2020 has been the best. I've had a chance on ESPN for volleyball. I've done all the way to college volleyball, basketball, down to high school volleyball, basketball, wrestling, football. You come to a football game, it's just like going to Nebraska Memorial Stadium. So setting the atmosphere of sports is different. It's just a feeling. And then especially with Arena League, I don't think people, at least for where the Omaha Beef do it here at the Slaughterhouse, it's nonstop music. Like there's no pauses. There is no downside to the excitement. So I have DJ'd a few games, but I'm also their hype man. So I run around. I bought a 360 camera. I don't know if you've seen those, but it's trying to capture what the crowd interacts with the players. And of course, for arena football compared to any other football, that is where the action is. The fans and the players is the thing to catch because it's very priceless time. That's right. Go Big Red. That's right. But it's just priceless. When you could catch those kids. I mean, I've made some pretty cool videos with it and just kind of turned it into a love where I get to share the sports that I love to do. I get obviously Tommy Armstrong was a Husker, so that took a little bit more. Being a Husker fan, having him around, we were blessed. But then you get to know the players outside, of the game, and you just really find out. And obviously this year, Ricky asked me to just revamp their podcast. Not that Matt was doing anything wrong, because he wasn't. Matt was doing a great job. And we're grateful that he was a part of the team for as long as he was for that part. But we really gave a platform, especially in this offseason. I don't know if you've seen any of them, but we gave a platform for these players to kind of tell the fans who they are. I think sometimes, and especially at arena level, fans don't understand that these players have to have a real life outside of football if they're still going to make it. Some are blessed enough that they can just go through and they have other connections that are taking care of them. But most of them, they're doing something outside. And I think that's the number one thing that I try to re-bring back to the spotlight, especially for the Omaha Beef. There's a lot of great things going on in the game, outside of the game. But what about these players and what they have to do? And then obviously it gives also a moment for Ricky and them to also bring on some of their partners, so their partners can have a say of how hard it is to um, make a team so successful as the Omaha Beef has been with that part. And of course, Sam, you've been around for a while that I know of. TJ, Cody, nice to meet you. I haven't met you guys yet, but it's just I enjoy what I get to do of just bringing the spotlight to another part. Stats are great, touchdowns are great. That part's all fun, and talking to the guys how they got there. I think some of these journeys are so amazing to understand, like how hard it is. And of course, you guys have talked even with some of the other teams, like the Freighters, like some of the Omaha Beef. When you see them go out to these other teams, you still follow them, you still share them, you still make sure that their story's heard. So that's kind of where I am with the Omaha Beef. I'm kind of their social media specialist, just taking my passion, my drive to share the stories, both inside and outside of the game, but then also connect the fans with, we obviously do watch parties, stuff like that. So I appreciate Ricky allowing me to, he's the type where he trusts what you do if you continue to do what you do. And he knows that I'm always just trying to put the best out there for the Omaha Beef to just, I think the worst is they've been around the longest, and still in this city, there's still people that will go, they're still around, they're still playing. And you're just like, come on, man. They've been in the past 5 championships. How many teams can say that? And especially with the bad, the downside the Nebraska Cornhuskers has had. If you want some winning football, you better jump on the Omaha Beef. Because we're not Nebraska right now, and right now Nebraska's not doing what they need to do. So I appreciate you guys having me on too.
Absolutely, man. I love that story. I didn't realize that you were involved in kind of sports media before you got involved with the Beef, actually. So that was awesome. But Cody, do you have any questions for DJ K-Dub?
Oh, I could talk his ear off all day with the Nebraska talk, man. But first things first, what is it like? What's a day on the job when it comes down? You don't have to go hour by hour, but what does your typical like game day entail when it comes to what do you do when you wake up to when you go to sleep? Like I said, you don't have to detail it hour by hour, but
yeah, no problem. So for me, it's just obviously the first things that you got to do is wake up and make sure all the equipment is charged, all the equipment's ready. I always run with 2 cameras. I run with my 360 that I have to make sure is good. And then I also have someone recording on the side, so I got to make sure backup batteries are good. And I've been the one in social media where mine's 99.9% of the time. If it's not from the 360, it's from my personal phone. Because when you get the top Apple, you pretty much have everything but a hand, and it's quicker, faster to put out. And then if I'm DJing, then I have to make sure all that stuff's ready for the people that are rocking with me. I appreciate my daughter and some of my, some of the boys that they date. I'm blessed that they're good guys, because I'll have them run the camera, and just seeing these younger people get involved in it just opens up my eyes, because they love the fast pace of what arena football. If I'm DJing, then I got to make sure I got all the songs. We, of course, for the Omaha Beef, they have about 4 to 5 different sets that they're doing between the dancers, between the rump roasters, and sometimes between the halftime entertainment or the quarter entertainment, where they'll bring in dance squads. They'll bring in, I think our favorite last year was a drum major. That right there was just crazy. Like they had 120 drum people, and these are kids ranging from probably 8 to 18, and the way that they performed was just crazy. But as a DJ, you got to be ready. And I've had a couple times where people come up last minute, hey, can I add this song? And you're just having all this music, and you just got to be ready for the next one, like always. And I hate to say it like that, because that's our DJ name as well if I'm not doing it. But you have to have that next song ready. You got to already have 3 songs ahead ready, whether it's a touchdown, whether it's a bad play, whether it's a The good old Jeopardy when the refs are trying to talk. You gotta have all these little intricates to the game, and even that you constantly build every game after game. You're like, I want to add this. You're also reaching out to players. Pre-game matters. You want them to be in their zone. Obviously, with this day and age in music, you also got to make sure it's family friendly after once that first hour where there's an hour before the game. But you want them in their zone, and you're playing to them. So I think that's kind of where uh, DJing part is fun because you're playing to the emotions of your players more than anything else and keeping the crowd into it. So we get to there probably about 2 hours in advance as far as depending on what I'm doing. I try to get there 2 hours in advance. That way I have time to set up. The DJ is right next to the field if I'm the DJ. As I said with the camera, if I'm the camera, I'm in end zone, whichever end zone we're going to. So I'm just constantly moving and on the move. But we're getting some pregame stuff. We're talking to the players. You kind of build up that, atmosphere. You make sure they know how, all eyes are on. And then that hour before, it just starts slowly moving into the game. And for anybody that's been to the Omaha Beef, if you've been there that hour before, you kind of see how it builds up. You let the players run around after they warm up for a little bit. They go into the locker room, and then their entrance is just energetic, man. It just brings the hair up on your arms as you talk about it. If what you do and what you get to do doesn't bring the hair up on your arms, I just don't know if you're really involved in what you do. And so game day of beef is, and one thing that I want to say, Ricky and his team, they run a tight ship. It is go, go, go. They're constantly running around. So you're either on that type of boat and you want to be a part of that, or they're just not the ones to be a part of. And that's okay too. Like, this is not for everybody. It is fast paced. It's a lot of running around, but you're also making sure things are happening. So just staying in contact, preparing yourself. I think the hardest part though, for myself personally, is just putting things together post game, because I am just one guy. I don't have an edit crew. I don't have anything. It's just me. A lot of times my phone, my computer, just trying to put videos together, put stuff like that, of course, because you want to try to re-give yourself out to the partners that you have. So I created a couple like defensive. It's who ate, because people talk when they talk, about eating, they talk about ate is like they're saying. And I go with the defensive play, and I relate it to one of our food people, and make sure people know those are some people who are taking care of the players that you go and watch. And it's just as important for our fans as it is for our players and the front office to go support these people, because these are the businesses, especially nowadays, man, that get hit the hardest. People don't always go out like they used to. So in a game day, it's an all day event, even though it don't start till 6 or 7.
I like some of the creativity there behind the thoughts that you have about the promotion side. But TJ, you're our resident beef fan. I'm sure you got some questions for DJ K-Dub here.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go the opposite way with it. Along with the beef, obviously you're involved in a lot of other things. Do you ever have an actual off season, or is it really just a change of scenery but still doing the same thing?
For me, it's just a change of scenery. Summer's kind of a little bit off season, but being a DJ, it's kind of not. As I also DJ every Friday night at a bar here at Senate Sandbar, 7 to 10. We call it On the Patio. I've been doing that for 4 years. It's kind of that laid back. Once you leave the club scene as a DJ, it's a whole different ball game, and you find these little niches like this where you're performing for sports still, but you're looking to try to make someone else move every time that I play a song. I'm looking for someone else amongst the 8 volleyball courts. So for me, and then of course with the beef, we didn't really have an off season either because we got things going. We got the off season podcast going where we start to introduce players. We start to talk to coaches when we brought on new coaches. So you have an off season, you just don't have. I mean, you know, there's no off season. There really isn't. You feel like there is, but with what I do, I there's no off season because I go and do a lot of high school sports too. So I have a NSAA badge where I get to go to games. So if it's in the summertime, sometimes I'll do their baseball. 7-on-7 starting to pick up too over the summer. And these could be your future athletes, right? When you look at football around here, these could be some of your future athletes, just as we brought on Tyler Levy, who was a former Nebraska City kid. Moose, he's a former, Nebraska prep. So to me, seeing these Nebraska preps get an opportunity as well, that just makes it a whole nother level. You have Chase Contreras, who played across the way at, the Reavers, and then Nebraska, and then Iowa State. So like seeing these guys grow like that too, that's kind of part of our off season is recognizing where these athletes do and where they go.
That is one of the funner parts about what really got me into football was following the athletes and following their path, from team to team and kind of seeing how they for lack of a better term, kind of snake their way through football. It's interesting to follow that some of the time. So, man, I really appreciate you joining us. Obviously, we got a couple more questions for you, but it's been awesome having you on. And honestly, it's been a lot more interesting than I was even expecting. Like, obviously you got an interesting role with the beef, but I wasn't aware about the other podcasts and stuff. So that's awesome to hear. For fans that aren't aware of your other sports coverage outside of the beef, where can they find that stuff?
All that stuff is at Wired Access, and that's WIREDAXCESS. And that's at all handles on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, all that, because that's the main thing. And of course, so the biggest story behind that is the guy who asked me to start a podcast. After I took that year off, he owned a company called Wired Training, and of course, my last name is Wickwire, so it kind of goes with that as well. But and then Access is a guy who I've done 2 concerts for, and this was someone who I also coached football with, but I DJ'd 2 of his concerts, and I just love the difference. I think of my name. My original name is Kendall, and it's unique and it's different, so that's why I went with Access, the way it's spelled, AXCESS. But that's where you find everything, whether it is the high school sports. I, of course, with my other podcasts, I get a lot of I've done all the way to major leaguers, NFLers, NBAers, all the way down to when it comes to high school kids. The only thing I respect for them and I want people to know is I wait until they commit to a college, because I really want to share that part of their life more than it is to try to talk them up of who they should go to, where they should go. I want to tell people how that journey is, because I think people don't understand how a journey to a college choice, and especially in this day and age, is something where it's one of those where there's so many elements. Now it's the NIL, now it's scholarships, levels, and then you throw in the fact that people are in the transfer portal. I mean, what was there, 6,000 people in the transfer portal this last season for football alone? So like just trying to get to people understand like how crazy the Wild West is once you leave high school. So it's all at Wired Access on all platforms. Or you can also just look up the name DJ K-Dub Omaha, and that will lead the way as well.
Awesome. Cody, any more questions?
I mean, first, I just want to shout everything out from Herd at Sports and stuff. I follow all of that stuff on X, Twitter, and everything already. So it's kind of cool to have you here, seeing like kind of come full circle with that. But do you do anything around like Union, Omaha, and all of the other local talent, like the Storm Chasers and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, so I've DJ'd 3 games this last season for Union Omaha.
Okay.
They're moving down to the Creighton facility, so that should be huge. I just had their head coach on. Vinny's story is so awesome, man. Like, to know of a national guy who went as a 16-year-old to go play pro soccer over across in Europe. So like getting his story to come back and see what Union Omaha's done. And then Storm Chasers, I really haven't. I've talked to him. Of course, I've known Marty probably for since I got into radio, so now 6 years. Marty Cordero, the prez of both of them, but now obviously not for the Union Omaha. He kind of passed that role. Supernovas with the Herd at Sports, so that's volleyball for those that don't know. Supernovas, I of course was there from the ground up with the Herd at Sports, where they allowed me to kind of do my side of it, the fan side and outside. So just being able to have that opportunity, go to the game, support them, and really show what they do. I mean, volleyball here is very special in Nebraska. Those that don't know, it honestly is bigger than football because of the success, right? That's what it takes. If Nebraska was succeeding, it'd be a whole different ball game, as you could see with Nebraska ball. Basketball has succeeded and people are going to it. So winning matters. Hence, why it's also fun with the Omaha Beef, right? Winning matters. You get to have fun when you win, but you also get the downside when you don't win, as the Beef had last year, where they had their 3 losses, which is not norm for the past couple of years. So that wasn't fun, but how do you make sure that people still see the excitement?
Man, football fans around the world just shed a tear for the Beef fans that had to deal with 3 losses last year. How terrible for you guys.
Whoa. Come on, man. But you already know how sickening that first one was, okay?
Yeah, that's fair.
And
it's just
TJ
funny.
can tell you. It was sickening. It was gut-wrenching. It was like, it changes the vibe even of the people who cover it. You're like, what, because I'm amongst the fans. I am running from end zone to end zone, whatever end zone we're going to score. So I, of course, have those front rowers and people who know the front row, especially at the Omaha Beef, they're chatters. They want to talk about it. So like even when they made the coaching change, they were asking, hey, what did this? And I'm like, all I am is just the media. I don't get in those conversations like that, or I bring up things that I could see. What did you see from the outside? I like to ask fans what you saw, because that matters to me, because I know what I saw from the outside looking in, because that's the way that I always want to project it. People think I know everything. I don't. I try to keep my distance on that. I like to see it play out. But what I noticed from a distance is just certain things weren't aligned with what the Beef are trying to do, right? Like those things matter. So when people ask me what happened to Tatum, great guy, bless his heart. I love the guy. But there's some business side things that just weren't getting done, and field side things that weren't getting done, right? And those things are things that don't have to be always talked about as far as who, what, when, where, why. You could have seen it if you were really looking at that part of the game.
It's completely true. The Omaha's offense was kind of off kilter all year until the coaching change. But TJ, any final questions for DJ K-Dub before we let him get out of here?
I have one. I know it's going to be biased, but I'm okay with that. How do you think we're going to do this season?
See, now you just made that hair just go extremely high with that question. A lot of excitement, obviously, when you look at the roster up and down, but a lot of unproven, right? A lot of uncertainty of the togetherness, and they got to put it together quick. I feel like we've brought in a lot of good additions to make sure that we're heading in the right direction. If words mean something, and the player's word is bond, as they would say, right? If your word is bond and what you're telling us, I feel like we're heading in the right direction, where the team's going to come together and put it on the field. Undefeated is going to be hard. That's hard for anybody, no matter how much success. But I could see them making it to the championship if they do the right things. They got a lot of good pieces. But again, it's football, man, and that's why we all love football so much, because one slight thing could change their trajectory and make it to where it could be a total opposite season, right? They're not going to allow it. That's not what they're looking for. But in the game of football, as they say, any given Sunday isn't just a saying. It's the real deal. So I think having their experience, bringing back like a D-line like Rudy, I mean, you bring Rudy back, that's a pressure that we didn't have last year. You of course got still you got Junebug coming back on the O line is stacked with just experience. And you never know where you might see Jay Sean Washington. Just be ready. He could be on that offensive side, and he's been there before. So I think they just got a lot of pieces that we just got to see how it gels together. They got camp coming up soon. I think Coach told us every time I think we're down to like 9 days. So 9 days they'll start practicing, and I can tell you their standard is a standard, and it's not just a saying. They're always compete for those championships. So I think the Beef's going to do what they came to do and get themselves back into for their 6th straight championship game.
Absolutely. Once again, DJ, K-Dub, thank you so much for your time this morning. Really appreciate it. Would love to have you on, later on in the season. We can talk about it maybe mid-season or something.
Oh, yeah, always, fellas. You just let me know if you need me. I got you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Really, really excited to learn more about you. And if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you go follow him on Wired Access, correct?
Access. AXCESS. And always remember this. Go Beef. Right, TJ? Let them know. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. You guys have a great show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to hearing from you again in the future.
See you.
With that being said, we will transition over to our next guest, the offensive coordinator for the Columbus Lions, Mr. Pierre Coffey. But before we do that, we're going to hit a quick commercial break. And what better way to introduce Coach Coffey than this?
How many times a week? Like three or four times, maybe.
I'm gonna pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
All right, we are back with the offensive coordinator for the Columbus Lions. Coach, can you hear us okay?
I hear you loud and clear. How y'all doing this morning?
Doing great. Thank you so much for giving us the time this morning. We really appreciate it. I know You're a busy man, so we really value your time this morning.
I appreciate the opportunity of being on here.
Absolutely. So obviously you were named offensive coordinator for the Lions a couple weeks ago, but you have a long background in coaching, specifically at the high school levels. Is this your first forte into indoor football?
It is. I've coached 20 years in high school, turned around several programs. I was actually head coach at 3 different programs, turned around a program here in the Columbus area that was on like a 30-year losing streak. That's where I got my first head coaching opportunity at Spencer High School. And then from there, I went to Chattahoochee High School and played in a couple of region championships. And recently, I was the head coach at Carver High School and won a state championship. And so, over the 20 years, I've had some very good high school teams and great opportunities and a lot of experience in the high school level.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, obviously, second part of that question, what brought you to indoor football?
So myself and Coach Daniels, we've been knowing each other for a long time. This is my opportunity to kind of pay the favor to him. He coached for me. He's my defensive coordinator, and he was my defensive back coach at 2 different schools. And so we've been knowing each other since about 2011, I think, 2012, somewhere up in there. And he had a vacancy come open, and he reached out to me, and it was one of those things. It was a no-brainer. I'm a coach at heart, and this gave me an opportunity, to kind of expand into, just a new sector of football.
Absolutely. TJ, do you have any questions for Coach Coffey?
Yeah. Hey, Coach. Thanks for coming on. How different
Can y'all
has
hear me?
recruiting kind of been?
Can you not hear TJ, Coach?
I can't hear him.
You can still hear me though?
I hear you loud and clear.
Do you mind backing out and coming back in, Coach? We might have some audio issues on that side.
Let's see.
All right, we'll try and get him back on. I apologize once again. It seems like StreamYard's giving us issues like every week at this point, so might be time to send them a little polite email about the issues recently. But we're gonna, continue to get him back on, and hopefully we can have some more conversation with Coach. Coach, can you hear us okay now?
Now I can hear you.
TJ,
can you hear me?
Yep, got you loud and clear now.
Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Hey, Coach, thanks for joining us this morning.
Absolutely.
Going from high school to now arena, how different has it been in terms of loosely recruiting for you this season?
The Columbus Lions, the organization itself, just has a long history of winning, and we've had some, really good players in the past. I've come into, I'm excited about going into training camp. I know Coach Daniels, and our general manager and our owner, they've done a really good job of making sure they're going in the training camp that I think we got a pretty good hand in regards to the players that's on roster. I'm really looking forward to, working with Jamon Forson. He's one of those seasoned vets in arena football. He actually coached for me as well. He's one of my receiver coaches at Carver Columbus. So, a lot of these guys I've been knowing for a long time. But I'm excited to work with guys like that, guys like Tremel Gooden. One of our big things is going to be figuring out, who our trigger man is going to be.
Agreed. Cody?
Excuse me. I got kind of a two-parter. First of all, good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
My first one is, if I read right, you're a doctor?
Yeah.
What is your doctoral in?
So it's in education. I'm a principal. So it's
Gotcha.
it's a doctor of education.
And then secondly, I read, trying to prep for this, I read that you are doing this in conjunction with being a principal, correct?
Correct.
Is there an opportunity for you, if a child misbehaves, that you meet them with an Oklahoma drill so they don't get detention?
Hey, back in the day, man, it might have been, but now you got to be careful, man. Kids ain't built the same way. You go out there with an Oklahoma drill, man, I might be looking for another job.
Hey, man, if you can drill this 35-yard field goal, you don't have detention.
There you go. But I'm excited. I think, even a lot of kids at my school, they're kind of excited to kind of see. Of course, it's been a big buzz in the community, and so they're excited to kind of, the season to come along. And, I've been telling a lot of the kids, I can't wait for you to come into the arena and actually see the game and see the excitement. And, of course, they look at me as Dr. Coffee, but of course, everybody, with the Columbus Lions organization and here in the city of Columbus, they know me as Coach Coffee. So, yeah.
I'm assuming there's probably like some blurred lines when it comes to that. Like, but is it something where you're like, hey, like you kind of mentioned, like, hey, come out to the game, you can see me be the offensive coordinator. And then I don't know if it's like, not necessarily giveaway tickets, but like, hey, we can work in conjunction with these schools to be like, hey, get families and, parents and kids and stuff to come see the product and, kind of grow. That's kind of what Columbus has done when we had them on about a month or so ago, how they wanted to do this all kind of from the ground up, grassroots, all local based. So I think that's actually really cool what you guys are doing.
No, absolutely. And I'm excited about that. Our owner, Mr. Roger Beck, and our general manager and our head football coach, Damian Daniels, they're doing a very good job of, I think, encompassing the local prep schools and getting, the schools excited about coming out to the games. And I think it's great for our community. It's going to be great for our youth here in the area. Because we are the, team of Columbus, Georgia. So it's very important, I think, that we embrace, the local prep teams and the local high schools and get them to come out to the games and have a good time and learn about arena football and, of course, support the Lions.
I'm glad you touched on that, Cody, because it seems like there are a lot of high school ties in the coaching staff and in the organization in general. Roger Beck's involved in high school football as well, all the way from the top down, it seems like. So those presents a lot of community building aspects, which I like a lot. So, I mean, I'm sure that's not an accident by Mr. Beck there. So On another note, you touched briefly there that you said it's going to be fun to find out who the signal caller is going to be on offense. Yeah. So I happen to know that you guys have multiple quarterbacks coming into camp. Is this an open battle completely? Is it anybody's game to win, or are you coming into it with a favorite currently?
No, it's anybody's battle to win. And I tell the guys, the big thing is the person that's going to be able to command the locker room, command the offense, and be that coach on the field, be that trigger man that, obviously don't get flustered on the pressure and be able to make quick decisions and those quick throws because, the arena game is all about fitting the ball in tight windows. And so, that's going to be the person that I'm looking for. So right now, man, it's a wide open race.
And just for fans at home, do you mind naming the quarterbacks that are coming to camp if you have them off the top of your head?
I know William Walters and Justin Arth. I've met those two, had conversations with those two, and so I'm excited about just kind of seeing them in camp. And I think it might be another guy, Blake Bartz, that'll be in camp with us as well. And so, I'm excited to see him. I've kind of watched some film on these guys and had conversations with them. So, I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do coming into training camp on the 29th.
Very nice. Very excited for that. And I happen to be a big fan of Justin Arth, so I'm biased. I'm hoping he wins the job, but we'll see what happens.
He's a dude. No, he is a dude. He can do it.
I think so too. And he's done pretty solid things in arena football there in Georgia State. So hopefully he gets an opportunity, but we'll see. No pressure, obviously. TJ, do you have any more questions for Coach?
We mentioned it earlier, bringing up the draft. It's like, a first time ever kind of thing in the sport. How is it adjusting how you're building the team so far, knowing that you do have that draft opportunity coming up to get players?
Well, I kind of let Coach Daniels and Mr. Beck them handle that. I kind of, they asked me my opinion about offensive pieces and things that we need. I most definitely lend my opinion there. But so that's kind of new to me, the draft. But like I said, they've done an amazing job of, I think, going into training camp of staffing our team and building this roster. From on the offensive perspective, the guys that I think that we got coming in for is the quarterbacks and also the receivers, and even our fullback and offensive lineman. I'm excited about them. Our receiver core, with Jamel Gooden and Jamar Force, and those guys are seasoned vets. And then we got a young guy, Ja'Kai's Cradle. I've been knowing him since he was in middle school, and he's a guy that went to go and play at UCF and then play at Georgia State, and now he's back here locally. And so, we're excited about guys like that. But in regards to the draft, I let those guys handle that.
Cody, you have anything for Coach?
What like it was touched on earlier, like your first foray, my goodness, your first time in the indoor and arena game. What kind of challenges to the schemes and like the speed of the game and everything like that? What are the challenges or differences when it comes to what you did in high school to what you're doing now? And I know you're saying, trying to fit into the tight windows, but for you as the OC, what are you trying to do to make the defense look silly, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, one thing that I do understand is that, it is a major difference from arena to, the traditional 11-man football on grass, with the motions and also, with the three offensive linemen, and, with the condensed field and all that. So it's the game speed is so much faster. But with that being said, in my opinion, arena football is created for, a show on turf. It can be an offensive explosion, especially if you can utilize the motions correctly and, find favorable matchups. And so, one thing we're going to do, we're going to try to get our best players on, and get favorable matchups, get our best players in grass, utilize those motions, play fast, high octane, type of football that's going to allow us to spread the ball around and let our playmakers make plays. That's what we're going to be built on, and that's what we're going to be about. So obviously, like I was saying, our trigger man is going to be a big part of that. He's going to have to be somebody that can make quick decisions and be able to command the offense. And so but I'm excited for the opportunity. Just for the simple fact, like I said, I think arena football is made for offense, and I'm an offensive guy. So when you start thinking about all the different dynamics and all the different variances of offense that you can display on the arena, in the arena, on the turf, man, I'm excited about that.
I was going to ask you, how many Qs do you expect to transfer over from like your high school offense into the arena game? I mean, how similar are the two offenses going to look?
Yeah, so I'm a Tony Franklin system guy, almost air raid guy. So some of the parts of the scheme with arena and the air raid is very, very similar. The only difference is, obviously you don't have the same amount of receivers, and then with the motions. So some of the stuff is very similar. Uh, so some of it will transfer. Obviously, the naming is a little different when you go from high school to how you name your plays and stuff for the arena game. But I'm big on making sure that things are simplified for players, and that to me, when players don't have to do a whole lot of thinking about, or you got this long verbiage play call and they can go out and play fast, it's just it makes life simpler, man. And when guys are comfortable and they don't have to think and they can just go and play, you're gonna see that result on the field. Guys will be able to play really fast and be very explosive. So that's gonna be one big thing that I'm big on, making sure that guys are comfortable in the scheme and they understand the reason why we're doing everything that we're doing.
Absolutely. A couple comments I wanted to get here. Referring to Justin Arth, Georgia Force QB. He also spent some time with Peach State, like I mentioned. And then Roger Beck checking in. Coach is being modest. He has been working nonstop learning game and will be very involved in player personnel decisions. Very well respected in the community and across the entire state. This comment was hilarious. Tell the left guy on the top to get his fingers out of his mouth. Columbus is bringing it already, from the staff to the players. The rest of the AAL has to be better, or had better be ready. So yeah, definitely agree on that front. It seems like Columbus has had a pretty consistent presence in the community and on social media as well, which is awesome to see from a fan's perspective. But TJ, do you have any more questions for Coach?
Yeah, I do have one more. Being involved, obviously, with the AAL now, getting to really see how the league is going and everything. What makes you feel really good about the future of this league?
I mean, I just think you got the right teams, right people in place that obviously have a vested interest in seeing this league progress. And I think the big thing is going to be providing a great show on Saturday nights, on Sunday nights. Getting fans in seats, and getting the community involved and everybody really seeing actually everything that the AFL has to offer. And I think that's going to be huge for us. And just going back to here in Columbus, us just making it a community thing and getting everybody in this whole Tri-City area out in the Civic Center on Saturday nights and Sunday nights for our games. And so I think we're in great shape.
Cody, anything else?
I'm good on my end.
Coach, are there any other players that you're really excited about on the staff so far, or the roster so far?
Yeah, I'm excited to see Nasir Randall. He's a guy I think we just signed, and I was, he's a long guy, can run. I think he's gonna be a good fit for us in that receiver core and a mismatch, a major matchup problem. Guys like Tavares Taylor, he's another guy. Marco Lee, I've been knowing him since he was also a middle school kid. He's a guy that's local here in Columbus and played at Hardaway High School, and he's a load in regards to at that running back position or that fullback position, and Malik Smith. So I'm excited to see these guys when we hit training camp and see it all come together, because obviously it's going to be a quick turnaround. Training camp starts on the 29th of March, and then we play on April the 16th. So, just getting everybody in and getting everything to gel together and working. We're going to have a tight window before we kick off for the first time. So I'm excited to get these guys, on the field, and, us get to, roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Agreed. TJ, do you have any more questions for Coach?
Nope, I'm good. But thanks again, Coach, for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. I appreciate you all.
One more question from the chat. What position are you looking at in the draft, and is anyone standing out? Have you even really gotten into the draft draft prep yet?
Well, like I said, I had that conversation with Coach Daniels and the power to be. For us, like I said, I think our quarterback room is going to be some stiff competition there. Maybe on the defensive side of the ball, we'll pick up somebody in the draft, and obviously, one thing I tell you, we can find a player in the draft that's going to make a huge difference. That's something we can most definitely go out and get. So, so to kind of answer that, but obviously not going to pass up talent.
Definitely makes sense. Coach, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Absolutely.
Really excited to see what the Columbus Lions put together on the field this year. I have a feeling you guys are going to be very tough to beat this year. So I'm very excited to see what happens, and very excited to hopefully meet you in person at the draft in April.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing you all then.
Absolutely. Is there anything you want to say to fans or family or anybody you want to shout out?
Oh, absolutely. The Columbus Lions, we're here in the city of Columbus, and we need everybody in the Tri-City area, everybody in the state to come out and support. Every time that we touch the field, we want it to be exciting, we want it to be family oriented, and we want it to be a great time. A great experience for families to come out and enjoy. High octane, high flying football. Arena football each time we touch the field. So please come out. And, we want to make it a great experience for everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you once again, Coach, for your time. Best of luck this season, and we look forward to hearing from you again in the near future.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of your day. Awesome. Well, on that note, we're going to go ahead and hit another commercial break. We'll bring in Krish finally, and then we will close this thing out talking some IFL, a little bit of NAL news, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up. But only one way that we may as well close out the Columbus Lions section, and that is, of course,
I don't know what we're yelling about! Loud noises!
We are back, and Krish is here to join us. Krish, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Excited to be on the show.
Absolutely. What country are you in today?
I'm in my home country today.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Are you back in Mass currently?
Yes.
Nice. How was your trip?
It was good. Good time.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Well, thanks for joining us, man. Obviously, always love to have you on. Some of the NAL news that we did not talk about while we had our guest on earlier was the news about the Black Rifle Coffee partnership. Now, a slight aside to this partnership, I was not familiar with how big this company is. These fine gentlemen on the panel this morning informed me that I was very misinformed about this company and that is rather large and sponsors a NASCAR team and all kinds of other stuff that I just was not aware of. So I wanted to kind of get your guys' thoughts on this partnership. I mean, obviously, it's always a good time when you see a national or at least a league-wide partnership for a league. So let's go to Krish first on this one since you just joined us. What are your thoughts on the Black Rifle Coffee partnership with the NAL?
Yeah, I think Brandon Card and NAL leadership, I think one thing that's really important with them is doing military-owned companies. So this is a theme, right? We saw it in the championship game with Hard AF Seltzer, I think it was called, right? Title sponsor, military-owned. This company is military-owned too. So they're just continuing that theme, and I'm glad to see they're passionate about it, and they're going to just continue bringing more sponsors in that fit that mold. So
I agree. And that's honestly a great move by them. Supporting veteran-owned businesses is always something that everybody can get behind, regardless of what side of the fence you stand on politically. So, hopefully everybody can get behind that sponsorship as well. Cody, what are your thoughts on this move for the NAL?
Yeah, it's a huge sponsor. It's a nationally recognized brand. We've been through not just the NAL, but name an arena league that has these little sponsors from here and there that they try and promote. And I'm not trying to take a dig at anything like that, but you try and promote some of these smaller brands that no one's really heard of. To get a huge national brand like this is actually very kind of eye-opening to me, in a sense where you're just like, I didn't think that they would be able to pull something off. I remember vividly, like when AFL 2.0 came back and you had Jerry Kurz in the end zones, like, we're going to look at Rev Honey and we're going to look at this and we're going to look at that. And you're like, I've never heard of any of these companies. So then again, it's not a dig, try and promote the brands and the ones that don't give you money and what have you, but to have Black Rifle Coffee Company come through and be like, hey, we want to sponsor you. Like, it's a huge thing for me.
I agree. TJ, what are your thoughts on the partnership?
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's huge. It's family friendly because it's veteran owned. And it's also a big brand. They're also in NASCAR. It's not, like Cody said, some brand that you've never really heard of or you may have seen on the internet or something. It's a known brand. So it's really big that the league was able to get this. And I think it's showing the little bit of an uptick that the sport itself is having. We've been talking about how it's kind of how arena and indoor is getting back a little bit and starting to climb that mountain again. I think this is more evidence towards that.
Agreed. And we've kind of been talking about it a while. It seems like arena football in general as a sport is kind of having a little bit of a resurgence. And I think this is kind of a sign of just that, like Cody said, this is a bigger company to get involved with, and for them to come in and want to sponsor the NAL. It's a big move for the league. It's a big move for every league, if we're being quite honest. So very excited to see this for the league. And Ricky drops a little hint here, first of many, perhaps. And honestly, one of the things that I've liked a lot about Brandon Eichard's approach, and this is just from a fan's perspective, right? Obviously, we're very lucky that I was able to have a personal conversation with Commissioner Eichard. And when I was able to have that conversation, I was struck by his business sense. He's a business owner himself. And to him, in order to make the league long-term successful, you have to treat it as a business. And that's something that I think a lot of leagues, it seems like such a common sense type thing, but a lot of leagues kind of miss that. They focus on the football. They don't realize that they need to, also pay the bills and have money coming in from multiple directions to make it cheaper for owners to operate. And then also to make the league be able to stand on its 2 feet. So it's not necessarily, in any situation where it's not a detriment if you lose one team here or there or whatever. You're not leaning on any one entity to survive. So I think that's a really good move by the league. And then I hope that more sponsors come on board, because eventually, maybe you can get to a point where there's some sort of revenue sharing, so that would be, I think, huge for the league and its teams. But a question I wanted to answer real quick. This is a common misconception. So it says the AAL draft is after the regular season starts, or did the schedule change? The AAL draft is 2 weeks after the AAL2 season begins, not the AAL season. The AAL season does not start until after the regular season starts. So I'm little. There's a little bit of confusion there. So I will we'll go ahead and dispel that right away. So there should not be any regular season games in the AAL played before the draft. Texas Pete checking in says, "Hey Krish, Moth the King, good morning and happy Valentine's Day." Happy Valentine's Day, my friend. And then to everybody else who's watching, thank you for being here with us this morning when you could be with your Valentine. Thanks again for having me, and appreciate all those who support the Omaha Beef, especially those who turn into the Prime Time Beef Huddle. So yeah, definitely check out that show as well. Thank you for being on earlier this morning, K-Dub. Appreciate that. Chima Dunga checking in. What's up, fellas? Thanks, man. Appreciate you being here this morning. Thank you for joining us a couple weeks ago as well. And then also make sure you guys are hitting the like button if you haven't done so already. It shows us on our little counter we've got 5. Would love to see 10 or more by the end of this show, which we don't have much left to talk about. So let's hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Next big piece of news in the NAL that we wanted to talk about is the Rougarou have reported to camp, and they unveiled some pretty badass camo jerseys. So did you guys see those jerseys by the Rougarou, Krish?
Yeah, I did. It's a nice jersey, nicer than the team on the field. So I'm glad they have something that, they can feel good about, because it won't be a good season for them. So 0-10.
0-10. Okay. That's a bold claim. It's a bold claim. Almost as bold as his IFL power rankings, which we will get to. Don't worry. There's more. There's more, my friends. So TJ, what are your thoughts on the Louisiana? Did you see those jerseys?
No, I did not.
Let's see if I can pull up the video really quick. Now, obviously,
I do love how Krish comes on the show right out of the bat. Boom, there it is.
100%. It's just true Krish fashion, right? Wouldn't be the same if he did it any other way. I got to figure out which
one
video.
Of the players in the. So it's weird. They have this DB on this team, Anthony. I'm butchering his last name, but he's on the Rougarou. He signed to go play in Germany. So, they're promoting him with the jerseys. He's only going to be there for 2 months, and then he's leaving. It's
do we know that for sure, though? He is for sure leaving?
Yeah, he's leaving to Germany. He signed.
Interesting. I'm not sure, man. That's an interesting choice, but at the same time, I mean,
and I really want to see if David Perkins shows up to camp. That's what I'm excited about, because I don't think he will. That's my opinion, though.
So am I. I mean, I'm excited to see. I think he's going to actually show up, and I actually think they're going to be fairly competitive this year, but we shall see. I could be wrong. I'm trying to find the video of the jerseys that I saw, but I am not having any luck at the moment. So if you have that link in the chat, drop it, and we will hopefully.
It's because it's camouflaged. You can't see it.
Exactly. It's blending right in. Krish, okay, we're going to pivot real quick. Krish can only be on for a short amount of time today, so we have to address his IFL power rankings that he brought up. So let me see if I can pull that post up. That one should be fairly easy to find. But Krish, go ahead and take the floor, my friend. You tell us how you determined where these win projections should be. How long did it take you to do these rankings? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so contrary to what people think, I have a lot of people that think I just flipped out of bed, one day and put together a bunch of rankings, or, just took it out of my ass and just put this out. I promise you, that's not what I did. I spent days and a week. I really spent a week, and I spent hours really going through each team's rosters, schedules, everything. The first thing I want to address is I'm an Orlando Pirates homer, right? I love my Orlando Pirates to death. I bleed green and blue, but I gave us 9.5, and there's a reason why I did that, right? I went through our schedule, and I believe we will win 10 games this season. We'll go 10-6. That's realistic. For me, I looked at each team's returning offensive and defensive production. That's a big thing, right? What players are you bringing back from last year's team that contributed to your team? So Tucson, for example, right? They're at 4.5. Okay, they lost Drew Dixon, their leading receiver. They lost Larry Harrington, their second leading receiver, and they lost Jameis Williams, their running back, and they lost Jorge Reyna. So they're already taking back steps at those three positions I just listed, right? The DB room, they got Aaron Jackson, but still, they're not where they're supposed to be, and they play in the Western Conference. So that's how I did it. I looked at where have you gotten better and where have you improved. I looked at Vegas. I give Vegas 12.5 because I see the team they got coming in exactly on the offensive side with Josh Thomas, Deshaun Stoudemire, Quentin Randolph, Delora in his second year, full off season, offensive line. But also, I believe they've improved in the defensive line, and they went out and they got 2 solid linebackers, right? So you have to look at where these teams have improved, and I think that's the biggest thing. New Mexico, I think New Mexico is terrible. I think they're one of the worst teams in all of indoor football, not even just the IFL. I love how they sit on Twitter and try to talk shit. Like, there's no shit to talk. No shit to talk. Because don't let me pull up the receipts on New Mexico, but I'm going to wait till after week 1. But no, I think, you look at Jerome, right? Jerome Johnson. Everyone wants to talk about Jerome. Jerome is great. He won an MVP in this league. No one is taking anything away from him. But what I will say, last year, he averaged 6.5 yards per completion. What does that mean? That means he holds on to the ball. He waits till his receiver gets open. If you watch the film, he holds on to the ball to 9 to 11 seconds, right? If you don't have a good offensive line and fast receiver that can get open, right, well, what's going to happen? You're going to get murdered. You're going to get killed, and that's what's going to happen to him. So, and on the defensive side, defensive line, their defensive line is weak. They're not fast. They're not physical. So, I don't know. I think New Mexico is a really bad team, and that's why I put them at half a win, and they play in the West. Tough schedule, so I'm willing to admit I've been wrong. I can be wrong. I've been wrong in the past, but I would like to see all the people out there questioning my work put out their own rankings. Shut the fuck up and put out your own thing if you wanna talk shit. That's just my opinion, though. I believe I'm pretty accurate. So we'll see. I'll see you at the end of the season.
Little hostile there, but it's okay. I know you get fired.
Can I interject? I want over half a win for New Mexico, with the 1 win being against Orlando.
That would be hilarious. It'd be so fitting if that's exactly how it breaks out.
That would make my year.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate you sending that. We'll pull up the Louisiana jerseys here shortly, and we'll discuss that. But I want to kind of go around the horn. What do you guys think about Krish's rankings? Where did he go right? Where did he go wrong?
I mean, for me, they're fine. They're predictions. We're talking about all this stuff on paper till the games are actually played. So Krish could be the patented never wrong just early, or everything could crumble. There are definitely issues that I take with it, but at the same time, like, I understand the justification from what he's talking about.
If you have issues, point it out. Well, what do you think is wrong? Tell me. I'm here.
Pull back up the over-unders.
Yeah, I got time today.
I think New Mexico wins more than half a game. I mean, I think they win maybe 2. Now, I'm not going to say that they're the worst in the league, but again, we thought last year that teams like Tucson and San Antonio were going to be good, and they kind of fell flat on their face. Northern Arizona still won a couple of games, and their roster was, You also have to take coaching into it. Jonathan Baines in his first year, and you've got him pegged at 7 wins. We'll see how that goes. I don't think, Green Bay with a brand new quarterback with Liam Thompson, who only played, 1 game and got some garbage time, do they regress back to the mean? Or does Green Bay with their defense, what they've brought in from the Bay Area Panthers, do they still get it going? I don't know how Orlando is going to do. Brand new city, brand new coaching staff. They should be good, but that's on paper. We don't honestly know. So the issues that I have, I mean, Iowa at 2.5 wins, brand new coach. Do they have more wins than that? They won roughly that same amount. I think Jacksonville wins more than 4.5. The East looks really good. I don't know if Indy wins 12.5 because I think the East is going to beat up on each other. I think it's going to be a photo finish for the Eastern Conference of who gets those 4 playoff spots. I think you've got pretty much 3 spots lined up for Vegas, San Diego, and Arizona, but I don't see how Northern Arizona gets 8.5 when they were kind of poo-poo last year. San Antonio should be better. Tucson should be roughly the same. I think those 3 teams are going to compete for that final playoff spot. But to sit there and think that everyone's just those 3 teams in the West are just going to beat up on the other ones, I don't know. There's a lot of parity. It's been growing in this league that at any given Saturday, any given Sunday, these teams can beat each other. And especially in the first couple weeks of the season, there's no preseason. You don't know what you have. You don't know what injuries or who you're going to cut and do whatever. To me, it's all a crapshoot.
Krish, your rebuttal?
Yeah, no, I agree with Cody. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we don't know, right? Everything is on paper. But in my opinion, the skill gap in the West, it's big. It's honestly big. Northern Arizona to Vegas, there is a gap. You can't, there's nothing to be argued there. But with Iowa, look, Andre Coles, yes, he's a good coach. We've had him on the show. Great guy. He also did it with Frisco. He also did it with Billy Bass guys. You got to understand, 95% of these coaches can't recruit.
Yeah, but with what Iowa had last year, they still pulled wins out of their butt, and they were just air raid offense. Their defense.
How many wins did Iowa have last year?
Not that many. But
but
the fact of the matter is, they still won games with a poo-poo defense. They had a player defensive rookie of the year, like all IFL defensive back with Caleb Street. Like they were all right when it came to that, but they were still porous. They still won games. To have Jacksonville at 4.5, and they made the playoffs last year. They took James Cahoon from Iowa. They bring back Jimmy Robinson. We don't know how his ACL or his leg's going to hold up, but they bring back Karan Ashley. They have a good offense. Their defense is a little suspect, but I don't think Jacksonville's 4.5 wins.
That's one I can really say, okay, I might have got that one wrong, right? But when I went through their schedule and I looked and I said, can James Cahoon sustain for a full season? Look at his pass attempts. He has 40 more pass attempts than everyone in the league. He had 478 pass attempts last year.
Because there's an air raid offense with Iowa.
I understand that, but so Jason Gibson has to adjust his scheme, right?
Well, you're also talking about Jason Gibson who came from the NAL, who has Castronova.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Jacksonville. I think that's probably the one thing on here that I take some issue with as well, only because, like Cody just said, first of all, in Iowa they didn't really have much of a run game, right? So now you go over to Jacksonville, you got Jimmy Robinson in the backfield. You can lean on that guy. You don't have to throw the ball 40 times a game or whatever it was last year. So can Cahoon sustain when he's got a run game to lean on? Absolutely, I think he can.
They also brought in, was it Ken or Kevin Davis Jr., the guy who's supposedly a 4.3 40 or whatever. So they've got somewhat of a running game. Can they sustain it? Like I said, with all the quarterback issues that Jacksonville went through, having to go from Caleb Barker to they had Fred Payton at one point too, who we just talked about earlier in the show. They went to Tyler Huff, who was a running quarterback, and they kind of relied on him. So they're trying to revamp their offense. I can see where Krish is coming from, but I don't think 4.5. You got to pump up those numbers.
I can see that too, but for me, I just want one last thing with San Antonio, right? I value San Antonio defensive line. I put a lot of stock in their defensive line with Lee Autry and Terry Beckner and Gabe Smith and some of the guys they got in the D line, and then their DB room, right? Matt Elam, Christopher Page, and Trey Morrison from Wingate, right? So they have that veteran leadership in the secondary. Not saying those guys can play at a high level, but still, that leadership matters. And I think on the offensive side, right, you have Glenn Gibbons, Jaquan Collazo comes back, and then you add Jordan McRae, who was pretty solid with Vegas 3 seasons ago. So it's all how you look at it. And I think, you have to look at what areas these teams improved. And I think San Antonio did take a little bit of a jump this offseason. I do believe they'll win more than 3 games.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you, but San Antonio, I mean, depending on what they get with LaDamian Webb and, Justin Stockton, if those guys are worth their salt, then they've got a running game because Keyshawn Harper was all right. But again, San Antonio was one of those teams that kind of aired it out more than they ran the ball. Joaquin Collazo was back. They also kind of had issues at quarterback. Their defense was pretty suspect. So if your assumptions are correct and their defense gets better, I hope it does. Because I've had San Antonio the last couple of seasons as dark horse playoff contenders, and they've fallen short both times. So maybe it's burn bridges of I'll see it when I believe it, I guess, or whatever. But I don't know. San Antonio, and especially Northern Arizona. Northern Arizona brings back quite a few guys, but to have them at 8.5, man, that's insane to me. They can make progress. Do not get me wrong, but I don't have them in the playoffs as of right now.
I just think having Ramon back for a full season. You started 0-8 last year, right? You went through 3 different quarterbacks with CJ Flower, Christian Arambi, and then Caleb Barker up until the time he came. I think low too. So I just feel like Northern Arizona has more in their offensive line and the defensive line. They're nice in the trenches. I really do. And they have Nolan Suso back, rookie running back. He played really good. He's a really good receiving running back out the backfield. You bring back Marlon Cook and then Kobe Smith. And so I just feel like you look at Northern Arizona and they have a lot of potential this year to take that jump.
I mean, if your assumptions are correct, because I think Northern Arizona and New Mexico play each other 3 times, then that, if you're saying New Mexico is going to suck and Northern Arizona is going to be good, then those are 3 wins that should go Northern Arizona's way. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I can't remember if they play 3 times or just twice. But,
and I respect Kyle Moore Brown. What he did as a as a offensive line coach, whatever. Kyle Moore Brown is 6-18 in this league as a head coach. He's been a head coach before. He finished 3-11 with the Cedar Rapids Titans, right? An expansion franchise. That to me is a big telltale sign. And he just this offseason had a lot of lackluster recruiting, and he hasn't been able to bring in too many good players. So I'm really disappointed in what they got going in New Mexico, to be honest.
It's a wait and see approach. We'll see. They could shock some people, but again, I'm pessimistic on them too. I just don't think that they're going to be winless. I don't think that they're going to win just one game. They'll win a couple, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah. So to Mike Davis's credit, my top 4 in the West right now, in no particular order: Arizona, San Diego, Vegas, and then I've got San Antonio as my 4th team. But I think it's going to be a race between San Antonio and Tucson if Tucson can figure out their quarterback position, because I know what they have with that, but they do have some talent when it comes to what they have. I do like Northern Arizona. I think they will win more games than what they did last season. But again, they could be one of those teams like San Antonio, like Tucson, battling for that final playoff spot. And then, as Coach Davis pointed out, and again, Naz plays New Mexico and Tucson 3 times. Those 3 teams could beat up on each other. We just don't know. We're looking at all of this on paper. Later in the season, when there's injuries, when there's players going to different, getting cut, going to different leagues, whatever the case could be, we just don't know. So right now, I understand people's reasonings, but you also kind of have to factor that stuff into. New Mexico could shock some people. I doubt they do, but you never know. Tucson could be the same way. Whoever they have starting at quarterback, could ball out. We never know. That's why you have offense and defensive rookies of the year.
Great point. I know a lot of people took issue with it. Krish has posted a ranking of some sort when you start getting a flurry of DMs at like 11 a.m. and on a Thursday or something like that. So, I think multiple of us got messages about that, saw the comments, specifically from Jacksonville. One of our former guests, Troy Waronka, was not thrilled. He said it was disrespectful and unprofessional, and that he's entitled to an opinion, but so is Krish. So I mean, Krish puts out these rankings every year, and I'm sure he'll be doing some NAL rankings as well that will get people fired up. But this is one of the things that, like, it's predictions, it's preseason predictions, right. and this fact stands above all else. Most any team can beat anyone any given day. So is Krish going to be 100%? Absolutely not. Is he probably going to be somewhat right on a lot of those? Absolutely. He is every year, but at the same time, like, it's always kind of funny to sit back and watch people get so upset about one man's opinion. Again, this is a 19-year-old college kid. And everybody's getting so worked up about his opinion that, like, we've got comments after comments and DMs after DMs, which, for the record, we love it. Thank you. Keep interacting with the post. That's the whole point. But at the same time, like, we're not trying to offend anybody, for the record. No, and Krish does a lot of work on these rankings before he puts them out. So
yeah, and that's not, again, as we've said, it's not to diminish Krish's rankings. Like, he put them out there, he has to stand by them. So whether he's right or he's wrong, he's either going to gloat in people's faces as he normally does, or people are going to gloat in his face, in which he'll get grumpy and upset and try and lash out, which that's okay too. And the big wheel keeps on turning. So
exactly,
either way, like, it's like you said, it's engagement. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay to be upset because you want your team to win, and it's okay to be upset if you think someone does not like your team. It's okay.
Agreed. We are going to pivot back to the NAL and do the Ruggiero jerseys now. So I wanted to pull that up. Thank you to Brian Mathern for pulling that out. And once again, full credit to the Louisiana Rue Girl for this video. We obviously had zero to do with making this. We are strictly playing it so everybody can see these awesome jerseys that I'm a huge fan of. So I just want to make sure that, you know, we've got all our obligatory disclaimers out of the way. But here is the video that came out a couple days ago. All right, now give me a second to close out the video so we don't have the background miss. First of all, I just want to say, whoever's doing Louisiana Rugero social media, you guys are killing it. Keep it up. It's been constant. It's been great. You guys are doing a lot of good stuff. So on the other note, what do you guys think about the jerseys now that you've had a chance to absorb them? Let's go to Cody first.
Camo jersey with dark numbers is going to be hard to read. I'm more of a traditionalist kind of when it comes to it. Like I root for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and their jerseys are just red and white, man. So I'm not a huge fan when it comes to that. It's tasteful for what they've done, especially with the area and the local flavor. I know that Monroe is also trying to do camo jerseys in the TAL in Louisiana. So like I said, it kind of fits the culture and stuff like that down there. Like I said, personally, I'm not a huge fan of camo jerseys, but like I said, to each their own. I'm not going to chastise them when it comes to it. If that's what they want to wear, it's going to be hard to read those numbers.
This is an interesting note by our guy, Arena and Indoor Football History. Also, make sure you check out his most recent article about a AAL player, Jason Hall, that just went out yesterday. He says, going by the podcast, it would seem they have 6 game day options for jerseys. That's okay. A lot. That's a lot.
How many home games do they have?
What's that?
I said, how many home games do they have? Is it a different jersey for each game?
It might be.
They play 12, right? Or is it 10?
It's 10, but they play a preseason game. So that it probably is one.
Well, unless like one of them's their away jersey, and then they've got 5 options for home, and then the white jersey for the road or something like that. But still,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Good point. I didn't think about the white jerseys and stuff. So maybe they have an alternate away jersey as well. But either way, I think that's kind of cool. 7 home Rue games. Okay, so at least 5 different jerseys for home games, I imagine, plus an away jersey. Isn't Bayou doing camo too? I think you're thinking about Monroe. I think Bayou is going to be like orange and green, if I remember correctly.
Well, they're both orange and green, but not he might have a point. I think it was the Bayou Bucks who were doing it because they had the camo jerseys with the camo field, right?
Yes, that was all that. It was the AI generation we're looking at. Chima chimes in, which, by the way, you know, once again, one thing that popped out when we had him on the show, he knows his stuff about the IFL. Usually a first-year team in IFL tends to be bad their first year. For example, Bay Area was god-awful at first, ended up winning the chip in 2023. Tulsa has also made the playoffs last year and for the first time in franchise history. So he does have a point.
Yeah, Northern Arizona was the same way, too. They were really terrible, and then they won the title, but a lot of it, you know, first of all, go Steam Wheelers. Second of all, it comes down to coaching. Look at what Northern Arizona had with their coaches after that bad season. Look at what Bay Area had with coaching after that bad season. So we'll see how it goes. New Mexico, probably not going to be the best, but they've got coaches with championship pedigrees. And again, I'm not tooting my horn and saying they're making the playoffs, but they can shock some people. We'll say that.
Agreed.
Yeah, they can be another Frisco coming right out of the gate.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. TJ, what are your thoughts on the camo jerseys?
I personally like them. In college, I am not an Oregon fan, but I do love the fact that Oregon has a different uniform every week. It's something cool just to check into. It adds to the entertainment value for me. It also adds into the merchandise option because now every game you're going to see a new jersey, and I guarantee they'll have them at the fan shop. So I think it works out on multiple levels for them.
Good point by Brian here. Rue camo jerseys are all number 26, probably fan jerseys. Brian, you would know better than what I would. Do they have a military theme night this year? I would imagine if they did, that's probably why they have these jersey options for fans. Just a hunch there. But I mean, regardless, either way, I think they're super cool. So if it's just for fans and just for merchandise purposes, that's okay too. I think it's a good point. Coach Davis' first couple of seasons at Vegas had growing pains as well, which is true. And yes, Brian said there is a military theme night. So that's probably what these are tied to. And regardless, like I said, this is part of the marketing and promotion side of a football team, in my opinion. And this is one thing that I think the Louisiana has done a great job this season. And we will be making an effort to try and get their new GM, Steve Walters, on in the near future. We've also been reaching out to their head coach to try and get him on, but he's a very busy man, and we haven't been able to line something up yet. So he will be coming on at some point as well. But we have a couple other comments here. Amarillo has 4 balls this year, and we have multiple jerseys. Make sure you're hitting the like button, of course. It would also seem the Rue have alternate helmets, but maybe that's just a display thing. Yeah, keep in mind they do have the mini helmets that can be purchased at this point. And that is one factor that you could see alternate helmets play a part. And then, again, hit the like button. So in that case, the one last piece of NAL information today is our buddies over at the Far Phantoms have taken on a second NAL preseason game. Sorry about that. And so very excited to see them play yet another preseason game. They're going to be playing against the Amarillo team. So very excited for that. Any thoughts on that before we move on to the IFL? Cool. Display helmets only for Rue. Okay, there we go. So that clears that up. We're going to hit a quick commercial break, the last one of the show, and then we'll come back. We'll discuss the IFL information that we haven't already gotten to, and then we'll go ahead and close this bad boy out.
I don't know what we're yelling about! Loud noises!
The mountains you climb? Maybe stairs. The records you set? Maybe personal. The fans you inspire? Maybe family. No lights, no camera, just action. You don't have to be a pro. You just need HoneyStinger.
I'm just being myself, cool as can be. When I'm being myself, you wish you were me. It's so easy. Get out your own way. It's just so easy.
How many times a week? Like, three, four times, maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
One more quick reminder that the Sports Den Network is now on Shady Sports Network, and we'll be simulcasting their shows on our YouTube channel as well as some of our other platforms. So if you want to catch some of their content, make sure you stay tuned. I believe they have a show later on today. If I'm not mistaken, Brian, you can correct me on that. And then also keep in mind that right after this show, you have the bus stop, I believe, at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time, so in about an hour and a half. They talk hip-hop, they talk football, they talk basketball, they talk a little bit of everything. So it's a fun show to join in on as well. And then later on today, we actually have a double header of live sports. We've got women's college basketball with the CSU Rams taking on the New Mexico Lobos. And then at 5 p.m., we also have the Major Arena Soccer League, San Diego Sockers, currently in third place, taking on the Kansas City Comets, which are currently in second place, and it could end up in a three-way tie for first place, depending on how the game goes. So lots of great content coming at you guys today. Basically have you covered the entire day. Coach Blair will be on the Ruggiero Show at 5 p.m. Central Time today. So literally a full day of content coming at you from Shady Sports Network, and that's what we're trying to do here. So stay tuned with us. Make sure you're hitting the like button, comment, catch all the content. It's all good stuff. So we're going to transition over to the IFL. As mentioned before, we've talked a little bit about some of the stuff that's gone on with the IFL. What we have not discussed, and this is kind of the big news that's been coming out, FanDuel has officially announced a date as to when they will be shutting down streaming services. So with that in mind, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. What do you believe will happen now that we have an exact date on that, which would be April of 2026?
I don't think anything really changes, to be honest, because FanDuel Sports Network is shutting down, but it was kind of just a placeholder name from what Bally Sports and Fox Sports and everything was when it came to Main Street Media Group, if that's the name I'm remembering correctly. So all of that shutting down, but FanDuel as a whole is not. And I don't think the Indoor Football League would be promoting the IFL Cup and having all of that stuff at the American Dream Mall and having FanDuel and all the other things going on with that just to have it blow up in their face a month into the season. So I don't think anything changes. There was something that I think we're a month away from the start of the season. I want to see what the broadcast schedules are. We haven't seen anything when it comes to that. And being on Arena Fan, one of the guys on there, AF Dave, who kind of runs the website, has made a good point of how are you going to broadcast all of these games? They're roughly staggered starts and stuff like that. So FanDuel will have their stuff on Sundays. Yahoo's going to have stuff on Fridays and Saturdays. But how are they going to stagger those starts, and how are you going to watch all of them if you want to, quad box it or whatever the case could be? So those are questions that need to be answered with, a month left in the season. And what games are Yahoo going to broadcast? And we kind of have FanDuel's broadcast schedule, but we also kind of don't. So waiting for announcements on those as well.
Absolutely. Big stuff for big stuff for the IFL, and obviously huge questions left to answer, when we've got the season coming up in a little over a month. So very excited to see exactly how that all plays out. Obviously, TJ, do you have any thoughts about FanDuel shutting down and what you think we might see coming?
I mean, in terms of the IFL, I kind of like Cody said, I have to think that they had something behind the scenes, because they wouldn't make this deal and then have it blow up in their face and look stupid, especially since they're always referring to themselves as the major league of indoor football. So at the end of the day, no matter what, at least they have other options. It's not like it's not like everything singly is riding on FanDuel, but it is going to be interesting to see how it does play out with them shutting down.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see exactly how they handle it. And there really hasn't been a lot of information coming out of the league as to how they will handle it. So kind of interesting to see the silence on that so far. But, obviously they're probably trying to figure out exactly how they're going to approach the situation as of right now as well. But, staying in the theme of the broadcast packages, one thing that they did give us that was extremely encouraging, and honestly, I think it's impressive because some of these names are just insane. But they gave us a huge list of different IFL broadcasters will be a part of the team this year. And I mean, you look at this list: Brent Stover, Jason Fitz, Dave Ryan, Alex Cohen, Steve Quaice, Joe Pequeno, Will Iger, Nate Gatter, Joey Bonadonna, Peter Schwartz, Jack Kaiser, Jeff Ciambita, Pat Paris, Evan Stockton, Eric Coleman, Sed Bonner, Nate Tice, Lincoln Kennedy, Will Blackman, Robert Turbin, Curtis Rigg, Sean King, JJ Jansen, Jared Thomas. I mean, it literally goes on and on. Ari Wolf, Ryan Bass. I mean, I'm not going to read them all, but I mean, this is an all-star lineup of broadcasters. They literally probably couldn't have done much better if they tried, in my personal opinion. But I'm not here to give all of my opinions, so I want to hear what you guys have to say in the chat. But most importantly, TJ, what do you think about these this list here?
There is literally not a single person on this list that has me going, "Oh, how did they get there?" I mean, it is a all-star lineup. You know, you have Sed Bonner, you have Ari Wolf, who have obviously been doing it for years, so that's going to be, reminiscent. You have Peter Schwartz on there, Brent Stover. I mean, it's just so many names. Like you said, every single name is an awesome option to have in this position, and I think the IFL hit it out of the park. It's going to be a great season, announcing and play-by-play, sideline wise. It's just going to be great.
Yeah, one thing that Mike Davis just pointed out that I kind of glossed over, but NFL legends. I mean, you've got guys like Sean King, Will Blackman, Lincoln Kennedy, Eric Coleman, I believe, played it well. Robert Turbin was an NFL and also involved with the FCF at one point, so he's got a little bit of indoor experience as well. JJ Jansen, I think, was also in the NFL. So yeah, it's impressive. So Cody, what are your thoughts on this overall team?
No, it's incredible. It's one of the things that I talked about a couple weeks ago where while I'm not a huge fan of like nationalizing all of it and going like, hey, I wanted like the local talent, they did take some local talent. Joey Bonadonna from Green Bay, Sandy Charles from Arizona. I mean, even going back to the old AFL days with Anthony Herron, like my boss at work is a huge Chicago Bears fan, so I listen to Ant Herron on the Chicago radio station. So it's really cool that he's going to be doing that. Mark May is a blast from the past. Obviously, Sed Bonner, Ari Wolf. It's incredible to think that Ari Wolf is going to be the sideline reporter when he was the guy next to Sed Bonner. So that's how stacked the lineup is. When you have Ari Wolf being a sideline reporter and not a play-by-play guy, like they just couldn't fit him in there apparently. But it's incredible that you have as much talent as they do with this. Like TJ said, they hit this out of the park, and my expectations are actually very high for this. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I had my doubts about it, and I am very, very, very happy to be proven wrong. So I'm excited for this. It just goes back to what I said a few minutes ago. What teams are we going to have when it comes to play-by-play analyst and sideline reporter? Where are they going? Because we know like Jason Fitz is going to be on Yahoo. That's where he's kind of stationed. But it's, how are you going to get these teams or like the broadcast teams to what station, what channel, what have you? Are there going to be team specific? Like Brent Stover is going to be calling San Diego games or whatever. Like, I don't think that, but it's kind of weird how you have, I think 14 play-by-play. If I do a quick count, does each person get a designated play-by-play guy? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm sure they'll rotate it, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. So a couple questions to answer there for sure, without a doubt. And CJ is correct. JJ Jansen is still an active NFL player, year 15. He actually holds the record for most games played by a Panther player. So honestly, it's impressive to see how they're kind of building out this team for multiple reasons. There's a lot of indoor football experience. There's a lot of arena football experience. There's a lot of NFL experience on this list. And there's a lot of broadcast experience overall. So I mean, it's just like we've all said, they hit it out of the park. Like, this is probably one of the most encouraging announcements coming out of the IFL in a long time, on top of the broadcast package, which we've already heard about. And yes, there's some doubts about FanDuel, but I mean, I don't really care where the games are. If the broadcast quality is right and the talent on screen is right, we're all going to be watching anyways. And this is a good indication that these are going to be some very talented broadcast teams that are going to do a really good job of accentuating the already exciting games. So
really quick, we got Coach Davis's attention. I want to ask Coach this. Like, I remember a couple weeks ago he was saying, or I could be mistaken, that everything is going through the Indoor Football League network, and then they're putting those broadcasts on Yahoo or putting those broadcasts on FanDuel or whatever, but then it's eventually going to be archived back on the Indoor Football League network. Is that still a thing where everything's going through the IFL network, but then they're, kind of not simulcasting, but putting all those broadcast productions out there? Or are they actually sending different things from Yahoo, different things from FanDuel, or is it all one in-house? Because I'm expecting it to be all in-house if you have this huge group of broadcasters and analysts.
That's kind of how I anticipated going as well. And it regardless of how they do it, man, I'm like I said, I'm encouraged. It's very, very awesome to see that list there. But Another little bit of transaction news, and this is kind of the last piece of news we have outside of the AIF game, which we'll touch on real briefly. Navon Donaldson, previously with the Pirates, has signed with the Fisher Freight, and they just lost Noah Tiglieri, which we just discussed earlier. So Fisher's just continues to load up in the trenches. Not a surprise there. They are sending everyone to each game and road saying it, then housing it on in the network. Okay, interesting. So that sounds like a lot of outgoing cost, but I mean, if the result is a very professional level broadcast, then I think that's the ultimate goal, right? So very excited to see what comes out from the network, regardless of where it's at or how they do it. But the last piece of information we're going to talk about today before we just shut down the show for the morning is, of course, the AIF game that took place last night. Another blowout victory for the West Michigan Ironmen. I believe it was 71-16, if I remember correctly. I was trying to pull up the score, but I can't seem to find it at the moment. Any thoughts on that game? Did either of you guys watch any of it? Fair enough. I watched a little bit of it, and much like you can expect, given the points difference there. West Michigan had it in hand early on and kind of took their foot off the gas late, and that's when the Muskies started scoring a couple points there. And unfortunately, it's just a situation where I think West Michigan is just a class of the league right now, and everybody's playing catch up. The Muskies were also very shorthanded. They had several players that couldn't make it, so it was kind of a tough situation for them to try and overcome regardless. But one of those situations where West Michigan continues to roll and continues to prompt questions about why they aren't trying to go up to a league like the NAL or the IFL and compete against teams that they are virtually in the same boat as. But with that being said, any other comments, questions, anything you guys wanted to get to before we get out of here for the day?
If North Dakota State can move up to FBS, the West Michigan Ironmen can move up a class 2.
There you go. And that's the best way to put it because it's so accurate. West Michigan would be a great competitor in a league like the NAL or the AAL or something of the sort. So I think I would love to see them make that move in the near future.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't watch the game, but I did click it on real quick, and it was already a 30-point difference. So I was like, oh, of course. But yeah, I kind of second that sentiment, man. Just move up to a better league. Make it fair.
That's fair for sure. Muskies unis are in customs still. 62-17. I apologize, not 71. I think 71 was last week's score. If Carter plays like he did last night, they will lose to Cedar Rapids. Did you see they can't even kick off from their own goal line? No, I did not see that. AJ Roque dropping in some eyes. Wanted to point out that, once again, we will be covering the AAL draft coming up at April 19th. So once again, if you're a current AAL2 player and you are not signed up, or you think you might be signed up, but you're not sure, definitely reach out to AJ, or you can even reach out to me. I can see what I can do to help answer those questions. Let's make sure that you guys get signed up and we get as many players in that pool as possible. Definitely forgot to mention the turf giveaway. Thank you, Cody. Appreciate that. Once again, we are giving away a piece of turf for the Sioux Falls Storm. I don't know why I keep forgetting to put this up, but if you would like to hold a piece of this turf, there are 3 steps. Very easy. Follow Indoor and Arena Football History on TikTok and find the contest keyword. Join our mailing list at shadysportsnetwork.com and comment the contest keyword live during Around Indoor Football World. If you do not have a TikTok, comment in the chat below or shoot me a DM and we will find another way for you to enter this contest. I am positive we can find an alternative for us to still get the same things we're trying to accomplish via this giveaway, and we'll see how things go as far as that goes. But anyway, do this 3-step process. You enter to win a piece of Sioux Falls Storm turf, which is right here. So with that being said, if you want a chance to win that turf, it is completely free to enter. It does not cost you a thing. You just get more notifications from us about all the great content we've got put out every week. So on that note, Cody, when is your next video coming out, my friend?
Hoping to have one out probably by the end of the week. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I know that in a couple of weeks, we will start the team by team indoor football league preview, starting with Arizona, ending with Vegas, one night for 2 weeks straight, 14 days, team preview by team preview, and then cap it all off with one huge Krish size list of playoffs and everything like that for people to get mad about. So yeah, probably got one more offseason update to go through. You guys can go check out the previous video on In the Alley on YouTube. I'll plug that really quick, and then that's pretty much it. So I'm in the midst of getting all the game previews and everything like I did last season, all the betting lines and all of those graphics ready to go. So we are ramping up. Also getting a road trip list going, because I will be venturing out to different places in the Eastern Conference, Iowa, Quad Cities, Tulsa, trying to get a road trip up to Green Bay and everything like that too. So trying to visit arenas, meet people, see the games, see the players, things like that. So it'll be really cool to go through all of that. So a huge work in progress, a huge undertaking this year.
Agreed. Lots of stuff to come, and hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, Cody and I will be meeting up for some in-person coverage of the Southwest Kansas Storm versus Omaha Beef game in March.
Out of my element.
Definitely looking forward to that for sure. Would love to meet a lot of guys from the network this season. So I just dropped the link in the chat. If you have not subscribed to In the Alley, I don't know why I always try to do that. In the Alley. Make sure you do so. The link was just posted. So click over there. The show's over. You're not going to miss anything. So go click over there. Make sure you subscribe, and then also follow him on social media as well. So with that all being said, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We still didn't hit our 10 like goal on the screen. So if 2 people are watching that have not hit the like button, make sure you do that before you get out of here. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you next week, and we will see you every Saturday. All throughout the season. Cannot wait for next episode. Talk to you guys later, and have a great Saturday.
Yo, what's good? Cedric the bus driver here. I don't know about you guys, but I know what I will be doing every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Thursday nights too. I'll be over at Shady Sports Network, so catch up with me. Holla at your boy.